This is it, it's happening.
Do it.
Okay. Hello, so I am James Sutton and I am an English teacher in Sao Paulo, a Studio 447 English club. And today we are in Moema and we're going to do a workshop, well, the first workshop of the Studio 447, and it's the Legends of Comedy. So we're going to be talking about 4 great comedians, and I'm very fortunate to have one of my best friends from back home, a British friend. So this is David Chadwick.
Hello.
So Dave and I, we met at school when I was 6 years old.
We did.
Primary school, and we grew up in the same town, and we've been friends, well, since then.
25 years.
25 years, yeah. And Dave has just been living in Rio, so he's been working on the Olympics.
That's true.
Yeah, making the Olympics happen. And he's just finished, and he's on his way back home to England.
On the way.
Yeah, so he's come over to Sao Paulo, and you're flying out in a couple of days, right?
Come over just to do this.
Okay, well, we're honoured. So, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, we're going to talk a bit more about you later and your experience in Brazil.
All right.
Maybe do a bit in Portuguese at the end.
Eu falo.
Yeah. So in my workshops, one of the main ingredients is always to drink wine. So today, in this first workshop, we have a really nice red bottle of wine. It's called Mesta, 2015. It's a Tempranillo, and it's a Spanish wine. So let's crack it open.
It sounds good to me. Ingredients for workshop: good people, good wine.
That's basically it. If you're learning a language, a bit of wine helps. So one important thing which I mentioned is we're in the middle of Sao Paulo. It's a really noisy city. You're going to hear some car horns. Also, not ideal, we have an airport just next door. So we have planes flying over pretty much every 5 minutes. You couldn't pick probably a worse location to record a video, but it's where we live, so you know, there's not a lot we can do about that. So
It adds to the environment.
yeah, adds to the atmosphere. So
There's also some noisy parakeets that land on the balcony.
yeah. Okay.
Oh, it sounds good.
Okay, taste that.
It's delicious.
It's good?
Yeah. We should probably say cheers.
That is actually really good.
It's really good, yeah.
Okay, cheers.
Cheers. Saúde.
Saúde. Right, so, pour yourself some more.
A little drop more.
Ready?
Just so I'm ready for the workshop ahead. Oh. I'm going to pop that there.
Yeah.
Okay, so Legends of Comedy.
Let's begin. So, I'm going to start the old introduction. Okay, you ready?
I'm ready. Pronto.
Okay, introduction. A comedian is a strange... Should we wait for the plan?
There's comedy timing there.
There you go.
From the up.
Come on, Tam Airlines.
There you go, you're in.
We'll cut this bit out.
I don't think you should, I think it's perfect.
Alright, let's try again. So, introduction. A comedian is a strange, quirky, and fascinating creature. Intelligent, curious, rebellious are words that come to mind. Good comedians reinvent the rules. The great comedians ignore them completely. They simply see the world differently, often finding humour in places most of us would never think to look. Yes, comedians make us laugh, but the true legends of comedy also make us stop and think. In this workshop, we'll discuss the life and work of 4 legends of comedy: Ricky Gervais, Jerry Seinfeld, Robin Williams, and Jim Carrey. Why 4 middle-aged white men? Because women just aren't that funny. No reaction. No reaction.
Sorry.
Sorry. Alright, that was a really bad attempt at a joke. No, seriously, there is no good reason why we are only looking at comedians only from this very narrow category. But this is only part one of the Legends of Comedy's workshop series, so next time I promise to mix it up a bit. Now let's discuss some comedy genius and discover what makes funny people tick.
Apologies, I was a little bit in shock there, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah, froze.
Yeah. Well, we'll edit in some laughter. So, right, that's it. So we're ready to begin. So
Yeah.
Dave is going to read the next paragraph.
Ricky Gervais.
Yeah.
So what am I?
I'm interrupting you.
Sorry.
I'm just going to explain.
There you
But, yeah, the idea is normally I have a Brazilian or a student with me.
go. Yeah.
So they will be reading and I would be correcting their pronunciation and they might be asking me words they don't understand. But Dave's English is pretty good, so probably won't be needing to do that.
You might want to correct a few things.
Let's see. Right, go on.
So Ricky Gervais is actually one of my favourite comedians, so this is a good start for me. Good start. Ricky Gervais. Ricky Gervais is arguably the most successful British comedian around today. Like many British comedians, he pushes the limits of what many consider to be socially acceptable to talk about in public. Most comedians will agree that when they should be able to joke about any subject. This is an important function of comedy within a healthy society, to enable us to talk openly about things that are normally thought of as taboo. Gervais's comedy style has been described as black comedy, or dark comedy, cringe comedy, and insult comedy. Obviously, there is more to his style than just this, but it is a good place to begin when trying to explain his comedy. Warning: if you are easily offended, then you probably will not enjoy his jokes.
Okay, so Ricky Gervais. So Dave, is there any type of comedy you don't like?
Is there any type of comedy I don't like? Probably. There's like just sort of those sort of 6 to 8 p.m. comedies that are probably on CBS Central in America or Universal Channel here in South America. I'm talking things like The Big Bang Theory, the two men, 2.5 Men, those kind of things.
So what have you got against Big Bang Theory then? And 2.5 Men? It's kind of slapstick.
Yeah.
Sitcom humour.
Just a bit. I mean, I shouldn't say silly because there's a lot of comedy that's really silly that I really like, but maybe to me that comedy's just a little bit simple and silly. And
okay. No, I kind of agree with you. Big
It's
2.5 Men. Like it's kind of like I don't know. It's not very intelligent comedy, most of it. But Big Bang Theory, it's a mixture, isn't it? It's like
there's some interesting stuff in there.
Yeah.
It's a bit clever how it plays on scientific and universe and things like that. But I don't know, just that 6 to 8 p.m. Go before that, Simpsons, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, I'm all about go after. Or
okay. Well, yeah, I pretty much like most comedy styles, but for me, like really offensive comedy where it's kind of lazy comedy and the comedian is just sort of attacking, an individual or a sort of like one group of people. It's not something that I'm particularly impressed by. I think
if not done in the right way,
Yeah.
it could incite hatred or influence other people.
it could. Well, we were kind of discussing this last night a little bit, weren't we?
We were.
But yeah, generally I kind of like most styles of comedy.
Interesting.
Right, so next one. So The Office. Ricky Gervais first shot to fame in 2001 for his BBC television series The Office. This series is a mockumentary sitcom which he created, wrote and directed. The programme is about the day-to-day lives of office employees in the SLOUGH branch of the fictitious Wernham Hogg Paper Company. Gervais also stars in the series, playing the central character David Brent. Brent is the boss in the office, and although he thinks he is patient, funny and popular, his colleagues perceive him as annoying, rude, and selfish. What makes Gervais so talented as a comedian is his ability to portray the most offensive, obnoxious, and patronising characters with irony in order to make the audience both laugh and understand he's not being serious. A great example of this is when he hosted the Golden Globe Awards. Each time he says ever more offensive and rude jokes directed at the biggest Hollywood stars, to the extent that no one believes he would ever be invited back. But incredibly, he has been invited to be the host 4 times. Okay, so you're a fan of The Office, right?
I'm a very big fan of The Office.
So I remember when The Office was on. This is like 10 years ago now, and I kind of missed it the first time. And then when it became a big thing in Britain, and everyone was talking about The Office, I think I went and started watching it, and I don't think I even watched all the episodes.
16 years ago.
Was it 16 years ago?
Yeah, it was when we were at high school.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's quite a long time ago.
A long time ago.
But I was on a flight the other day and I watched the first episode of The Office again.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like really clever kind of original comedy.
Yeah.
The first person is sort of like an Office-style mockumentary. So, Slough is kind of a really dull town in England. I mean,
Have you been there?
okay, I don't think I've ever been there, no. So, but this is why they chose it, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
the word
I know.
Slough.
I'm sorry, people from Slough. I'm sure it's a wonderful town, but I think that's the idea, right? They picked Slough because it's kind of grey and it's not London.
It's
is it?
dull and unexciting. A paper company in Slough.
Yeah,
It's
and
the
just a
market
regular English office,
Yeah.
and it's kind of a mockumentary style. So this means the show appears to be a documentary, but it's actually totally fictitious, and it's kind of making fun of British like working office life.
Everyday
Peculiarities.
Get that on the vocab.
Yeah. I don't know if I pronounce that right.
It's poking fun at people and everyday instances that we do that we don't realise we do, and David Brent is horrifically cringeworthy, and
It's
there's
like
a lot of
the-
things he does. It makes jokes about a race, or leaves a wheelchair user at the top of the stairs, or talks down about women and then tries to dig himself out, and he digs himself a bigger hole, and he makes you cringe. You feel like you don't like him. You couldn't get away with a lot of that in The Office today, in a normal workplace today, but he's poking fun at these instances and ideas and that these characters exist, which they do.
Yeah. So it has lots of great characters, and there's kind of a love story in there as well, and but this is what really made Ricky Gervais kind of famous.
Yeah.
And then from there, we're going to talk about what else he's done. So here I have a quick video of him at the Golden Globes. So it's kind of just showing these typical jokes.
Interesting.
Yeah. So let's play this.
Well, he's come a long way, hasn't he?
Jennifer Lawrence made the news when she demanded equal pay for women in Hollywood, and she received, overwhelming support from people everywhere. There were marches on the street with nurses and factory workers saying, how the hell can a 25-year-old live on 52 million? There were plumbers around the world going, poor girl in town, what's fucking hell? So, but joking aside, of course women should be paid the same as men for doing the same job. And I'd like to say now that I'm getting paid exactly the same as Tina and Amy did last year for hosting it. No, I know there was 2 of them, but it's not my fault if they want to share the money, is it? That's their stupid fault. It's funny because it's true. The Hollywood Foreign Press deemed the...
Okay, so a little clip, kind of highlighting inequality of women's pay, kind of sexism, in a clever way, right?
And I think if you would just take on the face of what he said, you'd think like, oh, an arrogant prick or whatever.
Yeah, if he wasn't a comedian.
Yeah, but he highlights these things in a way to like raise awareness of them.
Yeah, and to hopefully stop the inequality.
Yeah, exactly. I think so.
The funny thing, I took this video off YouTube, and if you look at the comments below, there's obviously comments like, "Oh, that's funny," and there's a lot of like angry women, and they were saying like they were criticising the actresses, the female actresses in the audience, for laughing at him. And I think that's perhaps a good example of people who don't understand comedy and humour.
And there's a very like comedy works. I think the best comedy works when it pokes at everyday instances, everyday life. Well, in everyday life, for someone who lives in Hollywood or Minnesota is very different to someone who lives in Slough or Knutsford, Manchester. So The Office, where he started, is very different to the American Office that was then made.
Yeah.
Because it's based on different people and it's based on different characters. So his style of comedy won't be understood, won't be gotten really, I don't think, by a lot of probably Americans watching the Golden Globes. Not saying that Americans don't get it or understand it, but I'm just saying it's completely different. It's
a different style of humour for a different audience, different people. And it's important, if you check out The Office, recommend the original version, but also there's the American version,
Steve
Carell, and I've never seen it actually, but I've seen clips and it looks funny as well. Different.
Yeah.
So depends on your comedy tastes.
It's worth just throwing in here, Ricky Gervais worked in an adult office for I think almost 15 years before he wrote The Office.
Really?
So,
I didn't know that.
There you go. So he wasn't really in anyone.
Yeah.
And he wrote The Office.
Yeah, well, it's getting research, right? 15 years.
Exactly.
Impressive.
Yeah.
Okay, Dave, late start.
Late start. One introduction, just so touch on that.
Have you not seen Flambles?
I've not seen Flambles.
Okay, next picture. This is Flambles.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I thought you'd like that.
So it goes around. Can I read that? Can I read it out loud?
Yeah.
The Grundet, Grundoidian Yobjammer, Puddlerflage, Blobulus Boinglubber.
So, I love this. So, apparently Ricky Gervais, he used to make up stories for his nephew, I think. And he'd spend, hours and hours telling these stories, and then, he decided to make a book about it, and he got an amazing artist to do these pictures.
That's awesome, isn't it?
Right, so, what's the next one? Comedy and atheism. So, comedy and atheism. So, I thought I'd include this, because it's kind of unusual to have a comedian who is an atheist, and I don't know if it is unusual, but...
Can I just get this right?
Yeah.
Atheist is, I don't believe in anything.
I don't believe in God. Like,
so
atheists believe in things, like they believe in...
And humans.
They believe in love, they believe in I don't know, everything, but just not God. So they don't believe there's a God that exists. Right, so that is Ricky Gervais. So I'm going to just check the cameras are still working, and then we can carry on with...
I'll have a little sip of wine.
Yeah, top yourself up. So, okay, that's looking good.
Are we still recording? Are we rolling? I've never come over a little queer. It's an Office joke, that. You'll have to watch it.
You are? Wow. Okay. How's that? Is it good, that one?
That's how you get the aromas.
Have you filled my wine?
Yeah, I gave you a little extra. Top you up.
Right. So I think let's do Jerry Seinfeld. Are you ready?
On to Jerry Seinfeld.
Oh, we didn't do the last question. Maybe we should get rid of that.
Yeah, let's do this.
Why do you think... No, what? Just forget that.
Let's do it.
Question.
Yeah.
Alright. So Dave, why do you think religious extremists hate comedy?
Can I answer that question with a question?
Yeah.
Do we know that all religious extremists hate comedy? Yeah.
So, that's fine.
It's a strong question.
A strong question.
We don't actually know that all religious extremists hate comedy. You know, Bin Laden might be the biggest Office fan you've ever known.
Could be.
Was.
Who knows?
If he was caught and if he is dead. Anyway,
let's
move on.
Okay. Right, so Jerry Seinfeld, next one. So, Jerome Allen Jerry Seinfeld is an American comedian best known for portraying a semi-fictional version of himself in the sitcom that was named after him. Seinfeld was the most popular comedy show in the 90s and is often described as a show about nothing, with Jerry Seinfeld sitting around eating cereal and commenting on the trivial things we experience in our daily lives. Not that I would know anything about this, as I was born in 1985 and grew up in Britain, without satellite TV, and therefore was oblivious to the existence of Seinfeld. I first became a fan of Jerry Seinfeld a couple of years ago after watching an interview of him talking about meditation. In this interview, Jerry talks about how he has been practicing meditation for the last 40 years, and in his unique, funny way, explains the many benefits of TM, Transcendental Meditation, has had on his life.
Very interesting.
So, Jerry Seinfeld is most famous for his Seinfeld show. That's what, was a massive, massive success. I think the most successful sitcom in history.
Bigger than Friends?
I think it was bigger than Friends, yeah.
Wow.
I think so. But I never really knew who he was because we lived in Britain. And
yeah, it wasn't Only Fools and Horses, was it?
No.
No, I didn't know about it. I moved to America when I was 16, as you well know, and my best friend Jeff used to watch Seinfeld every day with his mum, and but I never really got into it. I didn't really watch it, so I don't know a lot about Jerry Seinfeld. It's very interesting to hear that. When I hear about meditation, I hear about it, it's like this new thing that everyone's doing for Headspace because we're plugged in. But he's been doing it for 40 years, that's interesting.
Yeah, so I was researching meditation. I came across a video of him talking about, he calls transcendental meditation. So a guy called Bob Roth, who they kind of talk a lot about it. And it's a great video because Jerry Seinfeld uses his comedy and he's just very good at communicating, very good at explaining things in a simple way.
Yeah.
So he explains why transcendental meditation is basically really good for you. He explains how it works. He kind of starts off and he says I don't know why it works. I don't know this. He doesn't really understand the science behind it.
Works for what?
So it works for relaxing him. He's a creative person.
Yeah.
So, he says he meditates for 20 minutes twice a day.
Wow.
And if he says that if he doesn't meditate, then, he feels tired, he feels drained. And he uses some really good analogies. So he says it's a bit like, when you go on a really long car journey, and drive for 10 hours, you wouldn't just try and drive straight for 10 hours. Every 2 or 3 hours, you might take a break, stop at a service station, refuel the car, get something to eat, something to drink. Have a coffee, relax a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's the sort of idea of meditation.
Interesting.
So, check out that video.
Alright.
Okay.
Seinfeld meditation. So this is me. Shall I read?
You read that.
So, get paid to make people laugh. Jerry was born in Brooklyn, New York, in 1954. His parents descended from Jewish immigrants, originating from the Ukraine and Syria. Just gonna let that plane go over. Seinfeld started his comedy stand-up career doing open mic nights and became known for specialising in observational humour, often focusing on personal relationships and uncomfortable social obligations. Although Seinfeld still earns most of his money from his 1990s sitcom, he continues to work hard, and amazingly, even in 2015, he was ranked as the highest paid comedian in the world by Forbes magazine. His current net worth is estimated to be $820 million.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
It's a ridiculous amount of money, isn't it?
What does that even mean?
I don't know, but it's not, but it's almost $1 billion. I mean...
Does it mean he's got that in his bank account?
Well, no. It says net worth, so maybe he's got a lot of money in his bank account, but maybe he owns a lot of properties, maybe, you know, just the rights to his shows are worth that. So he probably doesn't have that in his bank account, but... I mean, I thought this was amazing. So he
could change the world, this man.
In 2015, he was the highest paid comedian. So all the top comedians today who are, you know, the most famous.
You don't hear about him. He's not on Saturday Night
Yeah.
Live. He's not making movies.
Well, he's doing a lot of stuff, but to be fair, like the money he gets is like royalties from Seinfeld, so that's why. But yeah, he's incredibly successful. He's incredibly rich, and I think it's interesting as well that his parents are descended from Jewish immigrants, both of them, from the Ukraine and Syria, which right now are two you know, difficult parts of the world. You've got wars, terrible wars happening in Syria and in the Ukraine. And I think it's an interesting example of how, you know, how people maybe view immigrants and immigration, and how if maybe his parents hadn't have come over to the United States, instead of being
Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah, it's Jerry Seinfeld, rich, famous, successful. He might be in Aleppo right now, you know, trying to survive and so. Yeah.
I mean, you know, this whole, this year, the last couple of years, we've had a lot of, we've got to stop the immigrants, we've not got enough space, you know, they don't belong here. But, you know, like, how far do we date that back? The USA is full of immigrants. You know, he was born in Brooklyn in New York, 1954. Everybody in that time would have been a second or third generation American from somewhere else. So, you know.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I think it's an interesting thing. Like, imagine how many Americans must love Jerry Seinfeld. I mean, he's a really popular guy.
Yeah.
He's an amazing guy.
Yeah. My mate Jeff.
And, you know, one small factor could have changed the direction of his life, and he could have, instead of being born in the United States, could have been born in Syria or Ukraine. Or, I don't know, like, you know, it's kind of hypothetical, but that shows that, for me, it's like, no matter where you're born or what your descendant is, like, we're all kind of the same, and, you know, we all have the potential to
be very funny.
Be very funny.
But, like you say, he poked fun at things around him, so without, maybe in Ukraine and Syria, he would have had a similar mindset, a similar nature. He would have poked fun at things in Syria, what was happening in Ukraine.
Yeah.
But he was affected by his environment around him, so he made fun of stuff that happened in Brooklyn, that happened in New York, that happened on the eastern seaboard of the USA. Mm-hmm. It's melting pot of all these different nationalities.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That is very interesting.
Okay, so, Dave, why do you think only a very small number of comedians get rich?
Where are you pulling these questions from?
I mean, do you want me to give my view, or?
No, I mean, like, as in, you know, how do we know that only a small number of comedians get rich?
Yeah, it's a good. I think this is a more general question of, like...
It's a similar thing, but it's...
In many professions, right?
Right, in anything that you know, football, acting, music, you know, there's billions of people that play the guitar. There's a small percentage that get rich. There's billions of people that are funny.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe I phrased the question wrong, but, like, you imagine a doctor.
Sorry.
Okay. No, it's okay. So you imagine a doctor. The majority of doctors, okay, they're not all rich, but they're all relatively well paid. But what I'm looking at here is comedians. You know, you have the majority of comedians who are just surviving. They earn a very little amount, right?
Yeah.
And then you have the ones that become really successful and become, you know, some become really rich.
Yeah.
And I think for me, it's, you know, comedians become comedians from the passion, and they love it.
Yeah.
And even if they're earning a very small amount of money, they love what they're doing so much, so they're prepared to you know, to do it and have that lifestyle, and you know, with the chance of hopefully breaking through.
Yeah, I mean, something that people. I used to work in street fundraising, which is like a very low-paid job in the daytime, and pretty much most of the people I worked with were aspiring comedians or actors, and were trying to get gigs in London Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, and they did it because they loved it. And actually, doing a job like street fundraising, they got to like practice their comedy and chatting to people every day and seeing human beings. But I don't know why some get. I think the rich comes with the fame, so. You know, they stop doing gigs in pubs and being on the circuit, talking about England here, and they get their own show, and then they get invited to another show, and then they've got time to write a book because they've got some money, and then they get to the live shows, and it's a sellout tour. So I think it's, whether it's originality, whether it's just right place, right time, like...
Yeah, there's a bit of luck, obviously.
Getting someone who's already involved in comedy sees you and goes, we're having him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, because there's a lot of very good stand-up comedians that I see who obviously then don't end up having a show or don't end up having millions. So I don't know, maybe it's luck.
I think it's you're born with the talent.
Yeah.
It's a bit of luck, right place, right time.
Hard work.
Hard work definitely. I think all the great comedians, like, they are, you know, extremely hard working.
Yeah, because there's a lot of very funny people I know. Obviously. Don't take the time to write and
like we have friends that are really funny in our opinion, and we think like in the right environment they could maybe be a professional comedian if they were focused and that's what they wanted to do, but they're not because I don't know, they're doing something else. Or
one of whom has done stand-up recently.
Luke.
Luke.
So we have a very funny friend, Luke, who we also grew up with, and. Yeah, I mean, he is the guy with like a quick wit. He's just constantly funny the whole time.
Yeah.
And he's done some stand-up, like in London.
Yeah.
But he's also passionate about many things. So he's passionate about cars. He's passionate about guitars.
Yeah.
And he's currently running, I think, like one of the most successful guitar shops in England. So he's a talented guy.
He should write a comedy about working in a shop.
Yeah, maybe he'll be a comedian one day. He just needs to. He's like Ricky Gervais. He's going to do 15 years selling guitars, and then he's going to hit us with a guitar sitcom.
The band.
Yeah, who knows?
I'd like to think that would happen.
Get on it, Luke.
Luke, do it.
But you're doing well.
My hair's changed.
My hair's changed.
The weather's changed.
Right, I'll have a sip of wine.
Yeah? Just,
Cheers.
Cheers to Seinfeld. We're still on Seinfeld.
Mm-hmm. So, you're ready to go?
I'm very excited. Right. Yeah.
So, we stopped filming on, what was it, Friday night?
Friday afternoon, evening, yeah.
Yeah, it was getting dark and we had to go out. So we have been enjoying Sao Paulo for the last 2 days, Dave's last days in Brazil. And it's now Sunday morning, it's 10 a.m.
It is.
We're continuing with some wine, it's actually the second bottle.
Yeah, it's a different wine.
Yeah, but you bought the same wine, right, as well?
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
The
right.
Meshta.
So, Jerry Seinfeld. Let's continue.
Back to Jerry.
Okay, so my turn to read. Comedians in cars getting coffee. Despite being over 60 years old and having... Start again. Despite being over 60 years old and a father to 3 young children, Jerry is keeping busy with his current series, Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. This show, like the title suggests, is about comedians, normally friends of Jerry, who he invites to go out to get coffee. Each episode, he hires a different classic car, attempting to match the personality of the car to the comedian he is picking up. Jerry said he wanted to bring together 3 of his biggest passions: comedians, cars, and coffee. Jerry owns a very large car collection. At one point, it was reported he had 46 Porsches.
Caramba.
Each show typically lasts 15 to 20 minutes and can be watched online for free. I love watching this show, not only because Jerry interviews some of the funniest people on the planet, but also because it often shows another side of these famous comedians, a natural and personal side, just two friends getting coffee.
Awesome.
So, I'm slightly distracted because there's ants walking across my bit of paper here, and it's sort of distracting me as I read, but I managed to...
Comedy ants.
Just about, yeah. Comedy ants, just having a laugh.
I've not heard of this show.
So this show is amazing.
Yeah.
I love this show. So, yeah, I think Jerry Seinfeld, he's not retired, but he's just doing things that he really enjoys doing now. So his great passions are coffee, cars, like classic cars, and he wants to show sort of another side of comedians. So he has Seinfeld's there, like in the Oval Office, and he's got his feet up on the table.
Amazing.
And Barry Bannon's like, oh, I've just got to finish, doing some work, and he's just sort of like, messing around, and it's really funny.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I have a little clip here of, this is like a clip from the show to show you.
Doesn't the door work?
Oh yeah, it works.
On the next episode of Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. 1976 Lamborghini Countach.
When you blow past them in traffic. Countach!
Hey, Paul.
Bottom line, man.
Bottom line.
You want me to pick strawberries? Let me out!
That was really good. But what was I talking about?
There is no pulp, no matter how much pulp they tell you there is.
What are those little bits in the juice? I feel them.
I'd rather be doing nothing. And there's nothing I'd rather be doing.
So funny.
So, yeah, definitely have to watch the one with Jim Carrey. They're all brilliant.
I'm going to start watching that today.
Yeah, and...
When we finished here.
So he has a website, Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, and you can just watch one after another. They're so good. So my question.
Yeah.
If you could go for a coffee with any comedian, who would it be?
Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey, yeah. Fashion. One. If I'm driving his car, like I've got my hands on the steering wheel, I'm nervous.
Really?
Yeah, and he's a black man in a
LA.
expensive car,
And we will be covering some black comedians in Comedy Legends Part 2.
Yes,
3.
yeah. No, like Chris Rock is one of my favourite comedians.
That's interesting, though.
Yeah. So, okay.
Right.
So I think it's me again. So Peter Pan.
Are we not here? Most likely to not succeed.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, good point.
So we're moving on to Robin Williams.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to introduce Robin. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Most likely not to succeed. Robin Williams was born in Chicago in 1951 and grew up in a wealthy family. His father was a senior executive at the Ford Motor Company, and his mother was a former model. He credited his mother as being an important early influence for his sense of humour, noting also that he tried to make her laugh to gain attention. At the time of his graduation in 1969, he was voted most likely not to succeed and funniest by his classmates.
So there you go. So interestingly, he came from quite a wealthy family.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's funny. Like he was voted most likely not to succeed and funniest by his classmates. So he was obviously sort of a class clown.
Class clown.
Funny guy. You
get that though, don't you? You typical, one of my good friends, talks too much. Oh, he can't pay attention. He's not going to. Just because you can't sit down and read a book doesn't mean you're not going to do well in life.
Yeah.
A lot of life is interacting with people.
Well, I don't know whether maybe his friends were joking when he said most likely not to succeed. I guess that's what you would vote for a funny guy.
But a lot of graduations in America, it's like staff votes as well as kids' votes.
Yeah, could be.
It's the old classic, isn't it? You'll never amount to nothing. You won't, Jay-Z.
Yeah. I was watching an interview with Jamie Oliver the other day. He was in a special needs class for he said like 5 years or something because he had dyslexia.
There you go.
Look at him.
Look at him.
Anyway, he's not a comedian. He's a British chef. but quite funny
Yeah.
in his own way.
Yeah.
Anyway, sidetracked.
So,
That's Robin Williams outside the Comedy Store in 1978.
look at him.
So way back in the day.
He's on his knees there, surely.
He is, yeah. So Peter Pan.
Brought it back to my attention.
Yeah. So just to warn you, if you watch it again now, obviously it's quite dated. Not to say it's any less special, but definitely was a film from our childhood.
Yeah.
A very special film.
We're not talking about that though.
No, you're going to read, and we're going to talk about that.
Okay, great. Sorry. You're going to cut that bit out if you want.
Could do.
So, From Another World. Williams rose to fame as Mork in the TV hit show Mork and Mindy in 1978, where he played an extraterrestrial from the planet Ork. He went on to establish a long career as a stand-up comic and as a serious actor with substance. As a comedian, he was known for his fast-paced, improvisational performance style, but also as an actor, he left his mark on the world with legendary performances in films such as Dead Poets Society and Good Will Hunting, for which he won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. He even made a Broadway debut when he played the tiger in the play Bengal Tiger at the Baghdad Zoo. The show was about a tiger that walks the streets of present-day Baghdad, seeking the meaning of life. As he witnesses the puzzling absurdities of war, the tiger encounters Americans and Iraqis who are searching for friendship, redemption, and a toilet seat made of gold.
Okay.
I have no idea about that.
Yeah.
Can you watch that? Even at the station?
I don't know. Maybe they filmed it. I don't know. It was like a Broadway thing. So, Good Will Hunting. I think definitely one of my favourite films. So this was a film written and directed by Ben Affleck and Matt Damon.
Yeah.
And they won an Oscar. And the script was so good they managed to get Robin Williams to agree to be in it. And this is when they were unknown actors. They were young guys.
Yeah.
And it's a simple film. It's a low budget film about a genius
Set in their hometown
of Boston. And the script is so good. The acting is brilliant. Robin Williams plays a therapist in this film. And it's a serious drama, but it's also, it's got some really funny bits in.
It's a young man who's a genius, but has lost his way somewhat because he's rough and problems with relationships and work
he was
and authority.
Right, as well.
Yeah, getting wisdom from an older man who's been there and done that and been through it all, but perhaps never met someone quite like the young man.
Yeah,
it's a great film. It's not a comedy.
It's not. It's a drama, but it has some really funny clips in, which if I had time I'd show you, but we don't. Okay, Dead Poets Society. Have you seen this film?
No.
Okay, this Dead Poets Society is a classic. You have to watch this. It's basically Robin Williams plays a teacher of poetry. It's an old film, but it's just about a beautiful story about life, and he's teaching these kids the power of language and poetry. So I have a little clip here to show you.
Nice.
A little secret for you. Huddle up. Huddle up! We don't read and write poetry because it's cute. We read and write poetry because we are members of the human race. And the human race is filled with passion. Medicine, law, business, engineering, these are noble pursuits and necessary to sustain life. But poetry, beauty, romance, love, these are what we stay alive for. Answer, that you are here, that life exists and identity, that the powerful play goes on and you may contribute a verse. Powerful play goes on and you contribute a verse. What will your verse be?
Is that young Ben Affleck?
No, that was Ethan Hawke.
Of
A
course
young
it was,
Ethan Hawke,
yeah. Yeah, it was.
So apparently Ethan Hawke dropped out of school to film this.
Wow.
I think something like that.
Yeah, he's young.
So
It's great, isn't he? He's so much presence. He's in the moment.
he's in the moment.
He's
So
there.
I love the line in that where it's you know, the beautiful play goes on and you may contribute a verse. So I think that's obviously very poetic in its own right.
What verse will you contribute?
That's the one. So beautiful.
Thinking about that now.
So watch that film on your flight tomorrow.
I certainly will.
Mrs. Doubtfire, 1993, classic.
Brother.
Robin Williams dressed as a woman to be able to see his
Do,
kids.
looks like a lady. Great film.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I'm not reacting to your Doubtfire impression there. Morky Mindy, never seen this, bit before our time. We weren't born when this was on, but this is what was his big break.
I think it shows how he was a part of a lot of people's childhoods. You know, from parents and aunties and uncles back then to our time in the 90s, and then he was playing voices and different things in the last 10, 15 years.
Had a huge career,
Yeah,
varied.
yeah.
And this is Bengal Tiger at the Baghdad Zoo. So this was a theatre production, and he played a tiger in this. So I never saw it. I never went to New York and saw it, unfortunately. But yeah, I thought it was something different to include.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's interesting how many actors do, movie actors do then do theatre as well.
Yeah. Well, they say it's a different experience, isn't it?
Yeah.
They have a live audience.
Yeah.
It's more fun. So.
That would have been interesting to watch.
Yeah.
It's you.
Oh yeah. Life and video games. Williams was married 3 times and had 3 children, Zach, Zelda and Cody. He enjoyed playing video games and even named his daughter after the main character from the game The Legend of Zelda. He grew up a member of the Episcopal Church and also described himself as an honorary Jew. Later in life, he became a devoted cycling enthusiast, having taken up the sport partly as a substitute for drugs, and reportedly stated, "Cycling saved my life."
Mm.
So, yeah, he really loved the game Zelda,
Yeah,
a computer game,
yeah.
and named his daughter after it, because it was a beautiful name.
It's so nice and it's different.
It's different, yeah.
I think what you've just read and some of those facts are telling of somebody who is perhaps addicted to, or has an addictive personality, whether it be drugs or alcohol. Or, but you can see that, you know, in his performances, like he's all or nothing, and if he's going to do something, he does it wholeheartedly and 100%. So if it's video games, or if it's family time, or if it's a movie, and then if it was drugs, which he had problems with. But yeah, then you can see, oh, you've got to fill it with something else. So it's interesting. Cycling,
I mean,
cycling helped him.
Cycling was his drug, his addiction in the end.
Yeah.
So, yeah, healthier. So this is a picture of Ron Williams with his daughter Zelda. And this story kind of came about, and was it Nintendo who created Zelda, the game? So they actually did some adverts, like promoting the game and telling their story of how when they were little, you know, when his daughter was little, they used to play the game. And
Interesting.
so, yeah, not like Robin Williams to do an advert about, you know, some computer game, but obviously he was like, well, this is a genuine story, a genuine passion, and his daughter's really nice. So that's cool. So Dave, do you judge people by the way they name their children?
I'd like to say no, but I'm sure at certain times in the past I've probably scoffed or remarked at a name.
Yeah.
But, you know, generally not.
Yeah. I mean, people say names are really important. So, I guess if you do judge people how they name their children, it's probably a common thing, really. I mean, maybe we don't even realise it, but there's different. I don't know. They say I read a book once from the Undercover Economist, and he was like looking at the statistics of how you name kids, and you have sort of like the working class will copy the names of the upper class people, because they believe, you know, this name might give my child an advantage, you know, as they associate with.
But now it's probably more about fame, right? So
or fame.
A lot of Waynes were born after Wayne Rooney became popular.
Yeah. But fame again is associated to a wealth and success, and so then all the working class people will name their kids the same, and then all of a sudden the upper class people will then start to reject those names and move on to other names, and it's like an endless cycle of.
There's a few differences in culture between England and then here in Brazil. So I found we met some people the other day, and their children were Heitor and Aitor. And then a couple of days after, this is all in the last week, we met a couple and they had 2 children. They were called Vitor and Vitoria. And I just like I don't think people in England do that, but it's.
But name both your kids like
very similar names. Yeah.
That seems strange to us, doesn't it?
Yeah, like Victor and Victoria.
Yeah.
Danielle and Daniel. Also here, there's a it seems like there's a trend of following the family. So we have a friend called João, whose father was called João, and João's partner Carol is pregnant, and we're asking them, we joke like, oh, Joãozinho, but we ask them, oh, what names are you thinking of? And people name their children here before they're born, and it's like, oh, well, I like João. It's kind of, alright.
Yeah, I mean...
João Jr.
Yeah, that happens in England as well, right? You have, like, we have friends and it's like the father's George, and then it's little George, the son. And, and
it's more of an older traditional.
It's an old tradition, isn't it? And it's nice in a way, I guess. But what's the motivation of naming both your kids the same name, whether a boy or a girl?
Don't know.
I don't know. It'd be interesting to ask about that.
I've met quite a few families here with that. Yeah.
It's convenience or something.
Yeah.
I forget so easily. So, cheaper than therapy. Okay, you ready?
Yeah, mate.
Okay, so that's recording.
Birdie man, whoa, birdie man, whoo. Right, come on, crack on.
Crack on. So
Jim Carrey. Carrey?
Jim Carrey.
We call him Carrey. Yeah.
Jim Carrey.
Double R though. Anyway, Jim Carrey. A Canadian comedian born in 1962, James Eugene Carrey, is a one-of-a-kind comedian and human being. After struggling in his early career as an impressionist, he achieved universal fame in 1994 as the leading actor in the films Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, Dumb and Dumber, and The Mask. But it is not only slapstick film comedies he is known for. He has also gained critical acclaim for film dramas such as The Truman Show, Man on the Moon, and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Beautifully read.
Were all those films 1994?
Yeah, so that was a breakthrough year. So you had Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
Wow.
Really funny.
Yeah.
Dumb and Dumber, one of my favourite comedies. This is a really silly film, but it's kind of like, I've noticed with my students, you either love it or you hate it. I love it.
If you don't love it, I don't think you get it.
Yeah. And The Mask, so that was a classic.
How did he get all those film roles like that?
I think he got noticed and he just, once was like, wow, this guy's special.
Yeah.
We need him in this film.
This is for him, this film.
Everyone just wanted him, and those 3 big films came out, and they were all quite low budget films, really.
Yeah.
But they all smashed the box office. So obviously due to his talents.
Yeah.
So I think he made them big.
Yeah.
Like, if he wasn't in The Mask, or if he wasn't in Dumber and Dumber, or if he wasn't in Ace Ventura,
They're totally different.
the film wouldn't exist.
Yeah. No, I agree, yeah.
Yeah. Truman Show, you seen this?
I have seen it. I've not watched it for a long time, but it's a very good film.
I love this film.
Yeah.
So more of a drama comedy,
Yeah.
about a man trapped in a TV show where he's the main character, but he doesn't know.
Yeah.
Man on the Moon, seen this one?
I've not seen this film.
So this is brilliant. So this is based on a real comedian, one of Jim Carrey's sort of heroes, and the character in real life, he sort of never stopped performing. So whether he was on stage or in real life, in front of his friends or in front of people, he would always be in character.
Yeah.
And yeah, you never really knew when the character
Who he
ended
was.
and who he was, and
Yeah.
he would pretend to be different people.
Wow.
So brilliant. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Yeah, seen this incredible film.
So I watched this a long time ago. Maybe I don't remember it. I remember watching it and I thought it was very interesting, very different. It's not one of my favourite films. Maybe I need to watch it again to appreciate it. But didn't stand out to me as one of my favourites.
Slower. It's hard,
Yeah.
it's hard to get into.
Perhaps I was distracted when I watched it. I don't know. And this is a young Jim Carrey. I think when he was 17.
Look at him there.
Can go.
He's excited.
He does. Excited about life. Humble beginnings. As a 12-year-old, Carrey experienced homelessness when his father lost his job and the family was forced to live in a van. At nights, his whole family worked as cleaners and security guards in a factory. Carrey told James Lipton on Inside the Actors Studio that this time of his life was a traumatic kick in the guts. Carrey is a follower and an advocate for the law of attraction, the idea that by focusing on positive or negative thoughts, a person brings positive or negative experiences into their life. He also revealed in an interview with Oprah Winfrey that as a struggling actor, he would use visualization techniques to get work. He stated that he visualized a $10 million check given to him for acting services rendered, placed the check in his pocket, and 7 years later received a check for $10 million for his role in Dumb and Dumber.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Amazing story.
Yeah. I mean, I can't possibly begin to understand what it's like, as a family being forced out of home. I have family that's happened to, but it's not happened to me. And yeah, I'm sure that toughens you up. Either you gain better resolve by going through an experience like that, but there's no doubt he was pretty persistent in trying to become an actor.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in, I've never heard it called law of attraction, but being positive breeds positivity, and
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. So as a family, Jim Carrey's dad lost his job, and the family bought like a camper van, and they used to live in a camper van. They would drive around different places and literally just sleep in the car as a family.
Saving rent.
And then his dad got a job in sort of like a factory as a security guard. So in the nights when Jim Carrey and his brother got back from school, they would work as cleaners in the factory. So they'd work like during the night shift. And it's quite interesting. He talks about funny stories, not really funny. He said it was obviously a really difficult time, and he got angry, and he used to have like a cleaning cart. He'd go around this factory, and it was quite dangerous at night. So he'd carry a baseball bat around, just in case. And he would be in the security office, and his dad would come in at early morning to take over from him, and there'd be like another hole in the wall, and he'd be like, "Did you punch the wall again?" And he'd be like, "No," but he obviously getting frustrated, and so interesting to see a guy so talented, so successful, coming from humble beginnings, basically.
Yeah, you wouldn't have given much hope to him, eh?
Yeah. So you already said you believe in the law of attraction. So I didn't know this, but it's a thing, the law of attraction,
right.
And it's basically what you're saying. It's this idea of positive thoughts breed positive experiences.
Yeah, but then opposites attract, don't they?
It's true, but I think for me it's more of it's a question of like, if you're a negative person who's always negative, pessimistic, that is going to rub off on the people around you.
Yeah.
If you're really positive and optimistic, that energy does rub off as well.
Yeah.
And people are more likely to want to give you opportunities, they want to be around you.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's like, some people believe it's some magical energy in the universe conspiring to help you or not. And there are cases when that seems like, oh, maybe it's happening.
Yeah.
But I think it's more just a social thing. So if you're like, Jim Carrey is a super energetic, positive person, and of course people are going to want to work with him.
Yeah. Get him on stage, get him on set.
So he literally wrote a check for $10 million, put it in his pocket, and for like the 10 years that he was struggling as a comedian, that sat in his pocket, and then one day he got a check for $10 million for...
But he actually physically did that?
He did it.
Visual?
No, he actually did it. He did it.
Really?
Yeah, he said he actually wrote the check.
Wow. That's awesome.
So yeah.
I'm going to mime rock and roll song in 10 years' time.
You could be doing it.
I'll have to learn the guitar first.
Yeah.
So, health and happiness.
Okay, guns.
What an awesome dude.
And Jerry Seinfeld's like, do you know you can actually just mix these chords together to get... It's kind of funny. But yeah, it's brilliant.
Cool.
So, that is it. That is the end of the Legends of Comedy workshop. I'd like to say, good. Big thank you, Dave, for discussing this with me. So this, you probably watching the short version now. This is the edited down version. If you want to watch the longer version, I think it's going to be an hour. I'm not sure. Like, it's going to contain the whole workshop. Then that will be made available to you. Somehow. Do it. And that's it. I think,
Enjoyed myself very much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you on your last day in Brazil.
Last day in Brazil.
So Dave's been in Brazil for 18 months and he's going home tonight. So.
Yeah, this evening, back to London.
Yeah, amazing.
I'll be back.
Okay, cheers, man.
No worries. Take care.
Okay.
I'm going to go and pack.
Right, done. Cheers, man.